Retiring has to be one of the toughest decisions a professional athlete will ever have to face, as it will mean giving up on the thing they've been doing their entire life, the thing that's put food on their table, that has given them meaning, purpose, and recognition. Either because of health, age, exhaustion, or just because they've got nobody willing to take them on their team. Whenever a player decides to retire, it represents a huge adjustment on their lifestyle, and it doesn't end up well some of the times. Several guys tend to get frustrated and fail to adapt to their new ways, and constantly end up missing the hardwood. Over the course of history, we've seen players that retired due to some circumstances, but never wanted to give up on their careers. Let's move forward with our video and have a look at the top 10 NBA players who made their way back even after announcing their retirement. So, let's begin. But before we proceed further, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, do hit the subscribe button so that you won't be missing out on any future NBA content. Number 10. Dave Cowens. Cowens was an all-around player who played for the Boston Celtics and was one of their star players. Dave Cowens was the ultimate leader of the Boston Celtics and had already won a couple of rings and an MVP when he decided to retire in 1980. Nevertheless, watching a young Larry Legend at Boston motivated him to make a comeback in 1982. But the team almost immediately dealt him to the Milwaukee Bucks, where his production would dip significantly. Sadly, he could make just 40 appearances during his final campaign, as he would have to retire once again due to a knee injury. Number 9. Brandon Roy. Roy was a promising player in the league, as he immediately took on a leadership role in his first season with the Trailblazers. Therefore, he was named Rookie of the Year. Unfortunately, he became plagued by knee injuries soon after. Just before the 2011 season, Roy retired because his knees had degenerated too much. A year later, he announced that he would return to the NBA after his knees get recovered enough to be able to handle a level in the NBA. The Timberwolves added him to the roster, but Roy was only able to play 5 games before his right knee needed surgery. That would end his season, and he retired again. Number 8. Richie Garen. Garen played for 2 teams in his NBA career, the Knicks and the Hawks. During his time with the Knicks, Garen set the record for the most points scored in a game, with 57 points, until Bernard King broke his record. In his second years with the Hawks, Garen was also named the coach, making him the player coach of the team. He continued in this role until 1967 because he was drafted by the Seattle expansion team, and therefore he decided to retire. Garen made clear that he wanted to continue coaching the Hawks. A year later, Seattle traded his rights back to the Hawks, which allowed him to return as a player in the 1968 season before he retired for good in 1970. He continued to be the Hawks coach until 1972. Number 7. George Mikan. Mikan was one of the pioneers of modern-day basketball, as he was one of the first big men in the NBA. He was so dominant in the league that several rule changes were made to level out the playing field. In 1954, his numbers were dropping, and after winning 5 championships with the Minneapolis Lakers, Mikan retired in 1954. He returned to the Lakers in the middle of the 1955-1956 season, but he couldn't put up the numbers anymore that he did before his retirement. He did become the first player with more than 10,000 points in his career. After that season, Mikan decided to retire for the second time. Number 6. Jonathan Bender. Jonathan Bender was yet another huge bust, and what if, as he came to the league with high praise as the 5th overall pick of the 1999 NBA draft. But constant injuries and nagging pain stalled his development, and he wound up being just a below-the-average player. After suffering a serious knee injury in 2006, he made a failed comeback in the late 2009 with the New York Knicks, but couldn't play beyond that season. Keep yourself tuned in as we discover 5 more such players with you all. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, do it now in order to make sure that you don't miss out on any future NBA content from now on. Number 5. Robert Reed. Robert Reed's story is one of the most bizarre ones you'll ever hear about. as the small forward decided to retire after just 5 seasons in the NBA to focus on religion. Nevertheless, he came back after 1 year during the 1983-84 campaign with the Houston Rockets, and he managed to have a pretty decent NBA stint that lasted all the way to 1981, although his post-retirement numbers took a huge downtrend. Number 4. Sidney Moncrief. Sidney Moncrief shocked everybody when he decided to retire after just a decade in the association, especially considering how much energy he put up on both ends of the floor on a nightly basis. The former Buck had won a couple of Defensive Player of the Year awards before announcing his retirement in 1989, but came back a couple of years later to have a 1-year stint at Atlanta. Number 3. John Salle. After his career in Detroit, Salle spent 3 years with the Miami Heat, and then 1 season with the Toronto Raptors. Salle would not get his 3rd championship until he joined the Chicago Bulls during the 1995-96 season. He joined a loaded team with Michael Jordan, who was the best player in basketball, and Scottie Pippen. That season, the Bulls finished with a 72-10 season, which was the best ever regular season record at the time. The record would eventually be broken by the 2015-2016 Golden State Warriors team that went 73-9. The title that the Bulls won in 1996 was their 4th overall. After spending 1 season with the Bulls, Salle took a 3-year hiatus from the NBA. He joined another loaded team, the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers would go on to win the 2000 NBA championship to give Salle his 4th title. That was Salle's last season in the league. Number 2. Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson surprised everyone in the league when he announced his retirement on November 7, 1991. A test during his physical just before that season had proven that he tested positive for HIV. Even though he retired, Johnson was still voted into the 1992 All-Star Game, and he decided to participate, even though some other players said that he shouldn't play. That summer, he joined the national team at the Summer Olympics to win the gold medal. The team, which included players such as Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, and John Stockton, was later dubbed the Dream Team, and it was the first Olympic team to include players that were still active in the NBA. First, Johnson became the Lakers head coach in 1994, but he only lasted a couple of months. In the 1995-1996 season, Johnson finally decided to make his comeback, and he joined the Lakers. He had some great games, and even recorded another triple-double, but after initially talking about returning for another season, Johnson decided to retire. Number 1. Michael Jordan. And of course, you already knew this one. Michael Jordan retired not once, but twice, and he always came back stronger. His first retirement came after winning his first three-peat with the Bulls following his father's passing, to pursue a career in baseball. After coming back and winning 3 more championships with Chicago, the GOAT would call it a day once again, just to make a comeback with the Washington Wizards after some time in the team's front office, making questionable decisions at best, but proving that he was still the best player that had ever set foot on an NBA hardwood. Retiring from professional basketball is not an easy decision for an athlete to make, as they have to quit doing something that they've worked for their entire life. The reasons can vary. Some have reached a certain age. Other players are ailed with injuries. And there are many more reasons that a player can make the decision to retire. So, according to you, which player of all time should have played more and have not retired too early? Let us know your answers in the comment section down below. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Thumbs up if you liked it, and do hit the subscribe button so that you won't be missing out on any interesting videos from now on.